Hello and welcome back to Making the Turn, a golf performance podcast. I'm your host, Vince Drahman. Today we have episode 2 with a super special guest, Hugo Alvarez Asorey, who's here to talk to you guys about golf fitness for beginners. Hugo is a personal trainer. He's originally from Oviedo, Spain. He now lives and works in Madrid. Hugo is actually a former college golfer here in the States. He was my college teammate, my college roommate, and one of my best friends in the world, so it was super awesome to reconnect with him today. While he was here in the States, he was a great collegiate player. He was a second-team NAI All-American. He was a 2-time NAI National Championship participant, as well as a 2-time Junior College National Championship participant. Like I said, Hugo is now a personal trainer. He brings 3 years of general fitness experience to the table. He also has a bachelor's degree in fitness and sports management, a master's degree in training and sports nutrition, as well as recently getting his NASM certification as a golf fitness specialist. Hugo was recently appointed as the head strength and conditioning coach at IGGE Academy in Madrid. This academy is run by Nacho Garrido, who's a former Ryder Cupper and a European Tour winner. Super excited to be able to bring Hugo on the podcast today to talk to you guys about golf training for beginners. We get into a lot of cool stuff. We get into how Hugo starts with new clients. We get into the number one issue that Hugo sees in everyday golfers. And we also get into the number one issue that Hugo sees in young elite golfers. We talk, of course, about the team environment at IGGE. As we talk about a lot on this channel, it's super important to surround yourself with a team that's going to help you be successful, that's going to be able to help you get to that next level. And so we wanted Hugo to talk to us about how that works at the academy that he works at in Madrid as well. We also get into some fun stuff. We talk about Hugo's personal comeback to golf and really just want to get right into it. I want to give you guys the chance to listen to what Hugo has to say. So hats forward, headphones on, let's go. We're here with Hugo Alvarez Asorey. Really excited to be able to have him on the show today. Hugo's actually my old college roommate, so it's pretty fun to be able to get a chance to talk to him now that he's over in Madrid doing big things. But thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. No problem.
Awesome.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Why don't you talk to me a little bit about what you're doing now? Obviously started the new job over at the academy, running the strength and conditioning over there. So talk to me a little bit about kind of where you're at now and where you started in order to get there.
Well, I mean, as he said, I'm from Spain. So I started playing golf around 17 years ago when I was like 10 years old. And then I just started playing, and then I ended up going to the States. First, I went to North Carolina to a community college, and then I transferred to University of the Cumberlands, where I play with this man right here. And then after I finished school up there, I just moved back to Madrid. Well, I'm not from Madrid, but like that's like the biggest city in Spain, so it's where the most opportunities are. And just started working as a personal trainer, and right now, as he said before, I'm working with a golfing academy too. It's like Ignacio Garrido. He used to be a European Tour player and play in the Ryder Cup too. So it's a pretty exciting situation right now. I started like 2 months ago, and we're just working there now too. So it's pretty excited.
Yeah, definitely. Explain to everyone kind of what you were doing before you started working at the academy. Obviously have a background in golf, but we're doing more just general fitness training before you started working with the academy, right?
Yeah. Well, when I moved to Madrid, I did a master's in training and sports nutrition. So I started working as a personal trainer in a gym. And then after 2 years doing that, I made my own company. And then I'm a personal trainer that moves all around pretty much Madrid and go to houses, gyms, whatever they call me they need to work out. I just show up there and make them train. So yeah, like golf is like right now, I will call it like my second business. My first business is like regular people.
Yeah, definitely. So, talk a little bit about the extra training that you had to go through, some of the research that you had to do in order to be able to work with the golfers that you work with now.
I mean, like to work with golfers, I think you need some like specific knowledge. Like I did the NASM golf fitness instructor, and but like there is a lot of like general and common stuff between like regular people and athletes, in this case golfers. I mean, you just need a little bit more knowledge in probably mobility and maybe some like explosive power, and like that would be like the two biggest difference between like regular people and golfers.
So, talk a little bit about some of the similarities, obviously working with more of just the general fitness population beforehand and now working with golfers. Talk about that transition, some of the similarities that you see in between the two, and kind of how you set up the structure pretty similarly between the two different demographics.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like golfers, like I mean, I have like one European tour guy now and some other like higher level golfers, but at the end of the day, most of the golfers that I train to are like regular people. So at the end of the day, they are working 8 hours sitting in a chair. So it's pretty much the same. Like they have a rounded posture, tight hamstrings. So at the beginning, you just have to evaluate them, see how they move, and then work around that. Because I don't care you're a golfer or a regular people, you need to know how to squat and hinge, for example. So if you don't know how to hinge or do a deadlift, I'm not gonna go any forward with you. I don't care if you're a golfer or a soccer player or whatever you are.
Yeah, for sure. So talk to people kind of about that progression and kind of what that looks like when you're starting out with someone, just kind of even a new client. Say that you have somebody come in, talk about kind of the steps you go through in order to, whether that's an assessment or whatever kind of the first steps are, and then how you go about building their program based off of what they need specifically.
Yeah, like I usually do a little test to see how they move. I start by the ankles, and then I go knees, hips, and then pretty much shoulders, and test a little bit of their core too to see if they're stable or they have like a strong core. And like most of people's fault most of the time are like ankles, knees, and hips. So I mean, like the sessions after like the first day will be more focused on those specific areas, and then I go to the upper body because, in my opinion, you need to move right first. I don't care what you do. So if you don't really know how to sit down properly, like I don't want to go forward with you. So I'm gonna make sure that you can move well, you have mobility in your ankle, and all those stuff are like really important to me.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's something very similar that you see in kind of the world I'm from. I come more from the TPI side of stuff, whereas you come from the general fitness side of stuff. But that's one of the very first things we do with TPI too, is take people through the assessment, and you see how they're moving first more than anything, because those movement patterns are so important. You definitely don't want to train anybody's dysfunctions. You want people moving properly before you start adding weight and doing all that other stuff.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. Talk to me specifically with the academy and kind of how you're set up there. Obviously, we're focused a little bit more on the golf side of things with this podcast, but talk to me just a little bit about the facility in general. How's it set up? Is it more of just like a golf place where they can come get lessons and do a workout? Is it a place where there are young kids who are kind of like staying there? What kind of academy is it, and how's it set up?
Well, it's actually a 9-hole golf club, because right now they are building like a bigger like country club around, because it's in a pretty nice part of Madrid. So right now it's like just for a year they will be there, and then they will move. But it's a golf course, like people doesn't stay there or kids doesn't stay there. They just come here, get the lessons, and then there's 2 spots where you work out. They have like a little box in the facility in the driving range, and we have like some dumbbells, TRX, medicine balls, bands, stuff like that. And then for like the people that want performance, they have they work with a gym too, like 5 minutes away from the golf course. So those people usually go to the gym, and then you have like everything pretty much you have in the gym. So squat rack, and all those things that we don't really have in the box.
Nice. So are you able to go to the gym with clients and train with them over there as well?
Yeah, I can do both.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let's look a little bit more into, we talked a little bit about starting with a new client and kind of what that looks like, but kind of looking at obviously people who are just getting started in golf fitness. That's kind of the target demographic for this podcast.
Yeah.
Golf fitness for newbies. So talk to me a little bit about people who are just getting started that you're working with. How often are they working out? Whether they're performance-based players or just kind of your regular people who are working 8 hours a day. Do those programs vary in terms of the amount of times that you're seeing them per week and things like that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like regular people that just comes have like 1 or 2 lessons a week. And when they first come, they come like, oh, I want performance. I want like, and then I have to explain them like, okay, you're going to just train once or twice a week. So, and then I see how they move and I'm like, okay, you don't even know how to squat, hinge, rotate. So we have to start like really basic stuff. But just from the first lesson, like I improve a little bit their rotation and stuff. And then I go like, okay, just hit 4 balls. And they hit 4 balls and I'm like, oh, I can swing better. I can rotate. So with that, even if it's just 1 or 2 lessons a week, if they start feeling a little better, like they will come back and they will want a little more. So in my opinion, with golfers that we're so focused on like the golf ball, I want to hit it farther, straighter. So if you can teach them just in 1 or 2 classes a week that you can rotate better and move better, and then you are like, okay, so at home you're gonna do like these stretches or this mobility work like 10 minutes a day. They start doing it, so they get better. As with performance, like I see them like for at least 3 days up to 5 days a week, and it's a very different work because it's usually younger people, so they usually move much better. So we just try to get it in better positions, getting stronger and more powerful.
So we talked a little bit about kind of what you see with the general population. You typically see people with rounded posture, with tight hamstrings, especially in golfers. That leads to a lot of lower back issues. What is one of the main issues that you see when you're working with your performance golfers? When you're working with those younger golfers, is one of the main things that you kind of see come up over and over again?
Usually, that's a good question. I mean, low back injuries are like pretty common too. And then usually shoulders too. Like usually complaining a lot about shoulders, but as we all know, golf, if you're a right-handed golfer, you just rotating one side and you don't do any swings or rotating the other side. So most of the time we create imbalances, and then usually low back and shoulder are like the most common problems that I see.
And do you think that's a result of just the repetitive motion or a result of bad posture? What's that usually a result of?
I think it's a combination of both, but usually like the shoulder, if you're a right-handed golfer, your right shoulder usually is going to be more mobile than your left, because your right shoulder is like open in the upswing and in the downswing, and the left one is usually like really short. So it's one of the common things I see in younger and even older golfers, that usually mobility in the shoulders is really like imbalanced.
Definitely. And so then obviously a lot of the training that we do in the gym can go to counteract that. I know, especially in a lot of the programs that we do, we're running a lot of, okay, you're doing equal amount of reps on both sides so that we can try to work through some of those imbalances. And it's often quite funny, even when you work with high performance golfers, when you start having them do things left-handed and in the opposite direction, they don't look
they don't even know
anymore. So it's always kind of funny to get in the gym and see those guys, especially in some of their first sessions. Those guys and girls are usually looking pretty dorky, so it's pretty funny. One of the things we talk about quite a bit on the channel and on the podcast is the team atmosphere for performance. How important it is to be able to have people within your team that are going to be able to help push you to the next level. Talk a little bit about, obviously with the academy, you've kind of got everything right there, but talk a little bit about how you work together with that golfer and their specific team. So whether that's with their swing instructor or in regards to their nutrition and their recovery, just kind of the all-encompassing view of performance more than just having a swing instructor like maybe people did in the past. Talk a little bit about that team environment and that team atmosphere and how that kind of works with one another to help everyone perform at their best.
Yeah, like for example, like in the academy, there's like the golf swing and the strength and conditioning, and we're with the regular people, not that much, but with the performance people, we're like talking all the time, because I can go to the golf swing instructor, and he's gonna be like, I don't know what happens, like the athlete can rotate to one side or something. She's like, what would be the word in English? Like, I mean, when you don't rotate and you compensate, like turning, I don't know what will that be called right now.
Like she's just incapable of getting in that position. So
yeah,
it's an overcompensation, and obviously using some other part of your body to get the club.
Yeah. So after that, if I go test her or something, I might be like, okay, see, it's not like a problem of the golf swing. It's just because she cannot rotate. So that's why she overcompensates. So then I will go and work on that. And then she can come back the next day and be like, oh, I can move better. So we are like talking all the time to see how can I help them and how can they help me. So it's like a pretty much all the time conversation.
Definitely. And I think one of the things that's super important too is people, and usually instructors are pretty good about this, but people who watch different players on TV and they want to swing it like Dustin Johnson, or they want to swing it like Rory McIlroy or Adam Scott or whoever it is. A lot of people don't understand that your body has to move a very specific way in order for you to be able to get the club in those positions. And so that's why the communication between the fitness side and the golf instruction side are so important, because a lot of people just physically can't get the club in certain positions that their coach may want them to get into.
Yeah.
And so then are you guys doing a lot of specific exercises based off of anything they're trying to change in the golf swing? Like, are there certain exercises you'll do with people in order to help them get a little bit more shoulder mobility to get the club in a better position, or different things like that?
Yeah, like we're talking all the time, and I might be working with you on shoulder mobility, and you just don't hit the ball farther. So we might be working on power, but always starting like from what I said to start with the regular people. Like, I'm not going to start doing power exercise with you if you cannot squat, for example. So even if the golf professor tells me, oh, she needs more power, I'm like, well, I need to start teaching her how to move first, and then I can go to the other things. So like, I don't care what they say. Like, I'm going to make them move well, and then we can start putting weight or moving fast.
Definitely. So let's talk about something a little bit more fun now. Let's talk about your personal comeback to golf. Obviously, we know you were a pretty good player in college, had a lot of success, but talk a little bit about kind of what happened after college and where you're at now when it comes to your personal relationship with the game.
Okay, so I finished college, and my last year wasn't good. I didn't play good for whatever reason it was. And when I came back to Spain, I decided to keep studying. So that's when I started my master's and like kind of like quit golf. Because if I wasn't going to turn pro, I wasn't ready to just play for fun. So I need a little break. And now, like 3.5 years later, I'm starting to get the itch back. So I started playing like 3 weeks ago, starting hit some balls, and it's been fun. I mean, it's weird when you hit a driver and goes 40 yards left, but
so
but yeah, it's fun.
Was it you starting to work with the academy? Is that what kind of inspired you to try to make the comeback to golf?
It was between the academy and Tiger, yeah.
Awesome. So talk a little bit about kind of the hardest part of starting up the game again. Obviously, some of the people listening to this podcast aren't going to be elite level golfers. They're just people who are looking to try and improve their game, and they may not. I mean, they're going through struggles all the time, and so they may think that everyone who's an elite player always stays an elite player, and we both know that's not the case. So talk a little bit about the hardest part of starting up again, and maybe some of the areas you've been struggling as you get back into it.
Well, like the first week was just terrible. Like I just couldn't hit really the golf ball. It was going everywhere. The second week, like the long game, starting to click again. Like I mean, I'm not playing like I used to, but at least the ball was going straight, so I could go out in the golf course. But like what I noticed, the biggest difference is in the short game. Like it's not like I used to be like super good with the short game, but right now, putting and chipping is pretty bad. Because I think that's where you need the most time. And I mean, and even when I was a decent amateur, like the biggest difference with the pros or the better amateurs was the short game. So when you stop doing any short game and then you come back, I think that's like even the hardest part to do.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's one of the things that is pretty easy to recognize, even if you're an elite level amateur or a young professional and you play with people who are kind of more of the weekend warrior style. It's pretty easy to see the difference in the short game. Obviously, they may not hit it as far and they may not hit it as straight, but more times than not, they're getting it up around the green near regulation, but they're still making doubles and triples. So the short game is definitely the part of the game where even as a college coach, we're having our kids constantly work on it, constantly try to get better at it because you can never be good at it. Give us a little insight into maybe some of your goals. What do you, from a golf specific standpoint, what are you looking to get out of your game moving forward? Do you want to compete again, or are you just picking it back up for fun? What's your goals moving forward?
I mean, I would like to compete, but not at the same level. Like I will compete, like for next year, for example, I have 2 tournaments that I want to play. That is like the championship from Madrid, like amateur championship, and then the one from where I'm from Asturias. So I want to compete in those 2 that are in May and July. So I have at least 4 or 5 months to get back to decent shape. That's pretty much about it. Like I will probably play in like some tournaments in the weekends, but just like more like fun kind of, but I don't really want to go any like crazy forward like I used to, like turning pro or anything like that. So I have enough stress with my work.
Yeah, it's good. It's nice to be able to pick it back up again and hopefully get that competitive edge back. I know just from knowing you personally, I know you're one of the most competitive people I've ever met. So it's always nice to see you wanting to get back and compete for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're on to a part of the show that's one of my favorite parts, and it's more of a rapid fire type question round. So it's called the Twilight Nine. We compare it similar to going out on a summer's night when the sun's setting and trying to get in 9 holes as fast as you can. So shoot off some questions at you. I just want you to answer quickly. It's not, you don't need to think about it. Just first thing that pops into your head. We're just going to fire through some questions and see what comes out. All right.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. First question. What's your lowest tournament score?
63.
63. Awesome. What's your favorite pre-round meal?
Bagels.
Bagels.
It used to be in the States. Yeah.
What's your go-to on-course snack?
It used to be the power builder bars or whatever.
Yeah. The protein
bars.
Yep. Yeah. Awesome. What's your pre-gym pump-up song right now?
Eminem.
Eminem.
I don't care what song. Just Eminem. Yeah. Eminem.
What's the hardest or your least favorite exercises to do in the gym?
Squats. Yeah. I love them, but it's just the hardest.
Yeah. You get to the course before a tournament round and you have 5 minutes to warm up. What do you do?
Just go to the tee.
Just go to the tee, no warm up?
Yeah, just do a couple of rotations and okay, I'm ready to go.
Favorite golf brand?
Nike, and then for like golf, Callaway.
Nike and Callaway. Best movie of all time?
Gladiator.
Yeah. And your favorite sports team?
My favorite sports team? Real Madrid.
There you go.
Yeah.
That one's a softball for you. I knew that answer. Cool.
Yeah.
That was 9 questions rapid fire. That's our Twilight 9. Just a fun little segment that we do towards the end of the show to just kind of get to know a little bit more about you. Couple questions before we leave you. So Give
Yeah.
me your, and I know this is kind of a loaded question, but just for people listening, what's your number one fitness advice tip for golfers who are just getting into the world of fitness?
Um, like the first thing, like I already said it like twice in the show, is learn how to move. Like I don't care what sport you're gonna do or if it's just for life. If you learn how to move and like every part of your body moves like it should, like it's gonna be easy. Well, easy. I mean, you're gonna have to put the work in, but like that's gonna help you a lot, just in regular life or in the golf swing.
Awesome. And then where can people follow you at? Where can people get to know you?
Well, mostly in Instagram, like it's Asorey, Asorey underscore fitness. So
Awesome.
there's where I put most of my stuff. Yeah, like videos with clients and exercise. Yeah.
Yeah. Hugo's a pretty good Instagram follow, so I'll be sure to put his Instagram in the notes of the show. You guys will be able to follow along with him there. But appreciate you hopping on the podcast, man. We really enjoyed it. Had some good
Oh yeah, for
insight
sure.
for those newbie golfers, and best of luck to
Mm-hmm.
you with the academy and everything you're doing, man. Keep going.
Yeah, always a pleasure, man. I hope you do right with do good with the podcast, and then that we see you being the head coach one day in one of those college teams, man.
Appreciate it, my man. Have a good one.
Yeah, for sure. You too.
Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of Making the Turn. Really enjoyed getting the chance to sit down and talk with Hugo. Obviously great to reconnect with one of my best friends. With him being all the way over in Spain and me being here stateside, we don't always get to connect, but it was really cool to hear his experiences about his new role at IGGE Academy and with his new golfing clients. A lot of that I was hearing for the first time, so it was really cool just to get the chance to hear some of his experiences, to be able to learn from him, some of his philosophies. Also think he did a really good job of giving you guys some tips on golf fitness for beginners. So I want to give him a huge thank you, a huge shout out for coming on to the podcast. Be sure to give my guy a follow on Instagram. The handle will be listed below in the description, but it's also at Asorey_fitness. He posts tons of helpful tips. He also posts some of his client sessions and some of his own workouts. He's a beast in the gym. He goes super hard. So if you want to see some really good workouts, be sure to